teams sporting first-year head coaches. One with Tony Elliott, the other one, of course, obviously Mauro Cristobal. It's always a spirited matchup, as the Canes last year were defeated 30-28 when Andy Borregales missed a game-winning field goal. Pretty much with the last few seconds left in the game. The Canes do come out with the victory, though, with a score of 14-12. I just want to go over the box score a little bit between both teams, especially both the quarterbacks, and then I will break down how I saw the game. Right. So first things foremost, let's go first with first-time starter Jake Garcia. Right, Jake Garcia, 15 of 29, 125 yards, no touchdowns. Very importantly, too, no interceptions, as he had 3 last week against Duke. Jake did not look sharp. There's been a lot of back and forth online in regards to Jake's performance. Jake did win the game, though, on that 2-point conversion in the final overtime. But Jake just did not look sharp, missing receivers, overthrowing receivers as well. And like I said, slightly over 50%. That wasn't something that worked out, in favor of Garcia. Got sacked quite a few times as well, held on to the ball too long. But credit to Virginia's defense, they also didn't allow any running lanes for him to use his legs, as Jake Garcia is a very athletic quarterback. First time starting. I'm not going to beat him up a bit because it is his first time starting. It is an ACC game. It's on the road. The Canes offensive line is quite banged up a bit, in particular. But it did help, though, that Jake was able to have a very solid running performance from Henry Parrish, as Parrish had 24 carries, 113 yards rushing, almost at 5 yards a pop, But I will say this, though, despite a couple bending on break situations, Miami's defense was much better early in the first half. Once again, struggling containing Brennan Armstrong, who's not a Riley Leonard type. He's not that fast, nor is he Jordan Travis either, but he's fast enough to get first downs with his legs. Brennan Armstrong, who was the most prolific passer, I would say, early on last year in the ACC, was held in check as the Canes defense, pretty much kept him in control. As far as passing yards go, Armstrong only had about 208 yards in the air. Some of those were just in chunk plays where he was able to, at one point, get one of his receivers in space, and then one was a big gain, when he was under pressure by the Miami defense. So that's just a little bit about Brennan, right? Brennan got the 208 came basically on just 2 throws, but Miami did contain him in terms of passing, throughout the game. The Miami Hurricanes defense, again, was absolutely stellar in this performance. Again, a couple situations where Brennan not break, but they were literally, they made adjustments the second half. Brennan Armstrong could not run. They beat the hell out of him. Mitchell Agude had 7 total tackles in the game. But the star of the game for me was defensive lineman Leonard Taylor III out of Palmetto, the sophomore. He balled out this game. I mean, he was a flat-out monster. You knew he was on that field. LT had 6 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, but 4 tackles for loss. He was just all over the field. I know that Coach Cristobal loves the rotation and bringing in fresh linemen here and there, but you got to have that guy on the field most of the time. He is just a beast, all right, of a lineman. He's just unbelievable as well. Nigel Kelly gets his first sack of the game of the season as well. Well, at least an ACC play. I don't remember if he got one in against Bethune. I really don't remember. As well. No picks for the Canes. They forced no turnovers, but pretty solid performance from Jacoby George in returning game, over 16 yards, per average, returning the game. Andy Borregales 4-for-4. He was stellar as well. Lou Headley as well, very good at punting, averaging almost 40 yards a punt. All right, as well. 1 touchback. He had 5 inside the 20-yard line. I mean, he was just a beast today as well. Special teams was very essential. Again, Andy, who last year, was hurting because he felt that he was the reason why the Canes didn't win that football game, came in clutch with those 4 field goals, being able to send us into overtime. But let's give credit to Jake Garcia. Jake Garcia, in that last play, pretty much runs outside and gets a 2-point conversion to end the game and send the Hurricanes home with a victory. So that was good. He could have easily also passed it to Khalil Brantley. It would have been quicker. But nonetheless, Jake decided, to take it himself and score on the game-winning drive. Virginia's defense was pretty solid as well throughout the game. All right, they did get to Jake Garcia quite a few times. Did the Virginia Cavaliers. They did rack up 3 sacks though in the game. Garcia was able to get rid of the ball in time quite a few times, but they were, they were in that backfield quite a bit, and they forced a lot of difficult throws for the Miami Hurricanes quarterback. But nonetheless, again, it was again a win is a win. It was ugly. It was nasty. The defense did play a lot better. Okay, they didn't surrender a ton of points, but they did get the game. We're 4-4. Canes have had a good week. All right. Canes have had a good week as they picked up the top five, the top defensive player pretty much in the country in Cormani McLean. And they also were able to flip Caleb Shepard over from Oklahoma over to the U, as well. And Damari Brown is again another standout defensive back, is expected to be a Cane. And we're just waiting. We're waiting in the wings, to see what happens in terms of recruiting. Mario Cristobal is not done recruiting. All right, he is a ferocious beast, and by season's end, the Miami Hurricanes will probably finish with a top 5 class. All right. As far as recruiting goes, they're already top 7. They should finish with a top 5 class. I'm really hoping, as a long shot, they do flip Brandon Innes. I think that Brandon Innes, if he does come to the U, will start, his freshman year. It does look like Mario likes his guys, all right, guys that he had a hand in recruiting and he had a hand in the transfer portal, sometimes over Manny Diaz's guys. It looks a little bit like that. I mean, he's playing everybody, don't get me wrong, but he's big on guys that he's personally evaluated and brought in as well. As we've seen, Mesidor, who didn't play this game, but Mesidor has seen a lot of reps. We've seen, of course, I'm just slipped my mind. Daryl Jackson as well. We've seen obviously Colby Young now emerge as the top receiver, for the Canes as well. So we're seeing, we haven't seen much of Lichtenstein. He's been in the rotation, but we haven't called his name a lot, and his name hasn't been called a lot in games as well. So Mario does like his guys, as well. So we'll see what happens when he's done with this recruiting cycle and the players that come in the class of 2023. I do believe a lot of them will get a lot of playing time, if not even starting time as well. Okay. So that's just a little bit about that. Next week is a big game, right? It is Miami versus FSU. It is going to be a sold out affair at the Rock. I expect a Miami Hurricanes team that will come out motivated to beat Florida State, as last year Miami lost basically on a 4th and 14. Criticisms on Manny Diaz for not blitzing Jordan Travis. I actually didn't have much of a problem with the call, as the year prior, Sam Howell beat Miami on a blitz, when it was a 4th and 12 over there in North Carolina. So I kind of understood where Diaz was coming from. You have to make the plays and coverage when you drop so many guys back. It was like 7 or 8 drop back. But the bottom line is, though, woulda, coulda, shoulda. FSU won last year as a revenge game for the Kings this year. FSU is a much better football team, as FSU does hammer Georgia Tech, this past weekend. So it is going to be a very tough game. FSU is much improved from last year and the year prior under Mike Norvell. So it's going to be a good test for the Canes. The Canes have got to contain the running of Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis is an athletic quarterback, and athletic quarterbacks have killed Miami. So Miami's going to have to use a lot of stunts, and also going to have a spy on Jordan. If not, he will kill you with his legs. All right. But Florida State does have a good running game, and they do have a pretty good receiving core as well. All right. And again, Florida State's losses have been close games against ranked teams, right? They have not gotten their butts kicked this year. So I do expect a very good game, a very close game. Hopefully Miami can pull it out, because Miami will be, the home team, but that hasn't meant anything this year, as Miami has lost 3 games in a row at home. Heartbreaker to North Carolina. Of course, the unforgettable Middle Tennessee game, and also the horrific 8 turnover game against Duke. Okay, so that's just a little bit about that. So again, recruiting trail is getting hot. I'm very happy. Again, in terms of the media, the Canes have taken some losses as far as publicity goes, but getting Cormani McLean and getting the flip from Oklahoma, as well, and possibly getting Damari Brown and possibly other players coming as well. We're still waiting for that tackle from Massachusetts to commit. He's probably going to come to the U as well, as Mario's trying to build pretty much a very strong offensive line with depth. So we'll see what happens. Right, we'll see what happens. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Tomorrow I will be bringing you coverage of the Miami Dolphins, as the Dolphins are on the road against the Detroit Lions. That is a 1:00 start on CBS. All right, so that's a little bit about that. And upcoming this week, all right, I'll be having interviews with Giovanni Gonzalez. Giovanni is a professional basketball player who played in Latin America. Okay, and of course, we have WQAM producer Alejandro Solana, the producer of the Hawkman and Crowder Show, producer of Miami Heat pregame. as well as the game itself, and also the host alongside Brandon Tobin of the Porpoise podcast, a straight up Miami Dolphin podcast. So we'll be talking about all that stuff, all right, on this on the show with Solana. His start at FIU Radio, like myself, we both have that in common. What it's like to work for Mark Hawkman and Channing Crowder, or work with actually Mark Hawkman and Channing Crowder, and also his recent ventures. All right. So for everybody, hope you enjoyed the show. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as well. For 305 Sports Now, I am Will. Stay safe. God bless. See you soon, and go Canes.